It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this is going to be a fantastic podcast with Newton School Superintendent Tom Messenger. And it's a wide-ranging podcast. We discuss many things. This was a kind of a traumatic year in terms of school safety, in that a couple of times this year we had some what they call soft lockdowns. And I know parents are concerned about whether their kids are safe at Newton Community Schools. And Tom discusses the difference between a soft lockdown and a regular lockdown, and kind of the measures that schools go through in terms of making sure that the schools are safe. He also talks about the issue of bullying, and I know that the school board and Tom Messenger had a wide-ranging discussion about that at a recent school board meeting. He also talks about who the new middle school principal is. He talks about the Iowa legislature and, of course, their property tax bill that went through and passed, and how that is affecting the Newton school system, too, in this wide-ranging interview with Newton School Superintendent Tom Messenger. I felt it was a good time to talk to Tom since the school system just wrapped up their school year. And we're going to get to that in just a couple of moments after we talk about our fine sponsors, including Wesley Life Park Center. And I want to encourage you to talk to our good friend Lisa Zylstra at Wesley Life Park Center. It's a great organization, Wesley Life, and they just opened up Wesley Life at Home. If you head to the east side of the square, you'll see Wesley Life at Home. And more and more people are choosing to have their care at home these days, and you should stop on in there. It's just to the north of the Red Pride Cafe. And you might want to stop on in there and find out about their services. But the last few years of my sister's life, she spent at Wesley Life Park Center. It's a great care facility. It's a great place to live, whether you're living in one of the cottages or you are living in one of the other areas of Park Center. You need to pursue your joy at Park Center by offering living options across a continuum. Park Center provides vital, enriching environments for everyone. A community of healthy living focused on holistic health and well-being. Their programming enhances emotional, intellectual, and spiritual wellness and enables you to live a life that's healthier in every way. Park Center is at home in Newton, with many residents and team members having lived in their lives. Park Center is a great organization, and if you want to learn more about Park Center's different levels of living and to find the lifestyle that's right for you, contact Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. That's Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. Another fine sponsor is Newton Clinic. Preventative care means more than just a yearly checkup. It's how we catch small issues before they become big problems. From screenings to vaccines to wellness visits, Newton Clinic is here to keep you and your family feeling your best. Schedule your preventative care appointment today. Your future self will thank you for it. And also, don't forget their new provider that they have, Kinsey Heiser. Stop on in to Newton Clinic if you're looking for a new provider. Kinsey Heiser is there for you at Newton Clinic. They are excited to introduce her to you. If you want to find out more, go to the Newton Clinic Facebook page. Another fine sponsor, Advantage Credit Union.
Graduation. The perfect time for pomp and circumstance to march you away from the place that's holding you back. Advantage Credit Union has a better curriculum of options and great rates with local service. Our checking accounts offer no minimum balances and no monthly service fees. So if your current place isn't making the grade, enter the transfer portal and switch to Advantage Credit Union. Open your account with just a $25 deposit in downtown Newton or online at acuiowa.org.
Member NCUA.
It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and with me today is Newton Community School Superintendent Tom Messenger. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Tom. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, it's great to be sitting here with you today, Jamie.
Well, it's a beautiful summer-like day today. The school year just wrapped up. A lot of things to talk about, and so thanks for taking the time to chat with me. Let's talk about school safety, first of all, and I know parents are always concerned about that. And I know we had a couple of what they call, I guess, soft lockdowns during the school year. First question is, are schools safe? And maybe you can address what a soft lockdown is.
Yes, the biggest question that a lot of people want to know when they send their kids off to school in the morning is, are they safe there? And I will say this, that nowhere in the world is there ever a guarantee. And I think that we've seen that, with different things that have happened around the country as well as right here in Iowa a couple years ago. But as a result of the different things that have gone on at schools that have really made people question the safety, there are a number of different things that we've done right here in Newton. First and foremost, we held monthly meetings with all of the Jasper County school superintendents, as well as members from law enforcement across Jasper County and emergency management here. The purpose of those meetings is to talk about different issues that pertain to school safety, as well as to work on our overall safety or crisis plans that we have. And as well as the response to any type of crisis that comes up. The response piece is the reactive piece. You hope that you never have to implement it, but you also want people to know, what their role is if something were to happen. In addition to the response, we also spend time talking about the proactive piece. And that is really one of the biggest things that schools can do. Right here in Newton, we have a number of our staff members, administrators, guidance counselors who are trained in threat assessments. So anytime that a student or anybody would make a threat, we have an assessment process that automatically kicks in. It's a nationally researched process. We have had staff members go through training on that. They interview not only the person that made the threat, but other people who may have been around to determine, okay, is this an actual threat? Is it what's called a transient threat? Which means that somebody may have said something out of anger or frustration, but there's really not a potential for a threat there. And then we get the law enforcement involved with that process as well. So we've got that piece in place. We also document those so we can see if there's any pattern that develops. And with each one of these situations that comes up, we do try to closely monitor the situation, come up with a plan of what can we do to make sure that it doesn't repeat itself or that it doesn't escalate from here. And part of what we have to do in the meantime, while we're first doing the investigation work or doing the checking into it, if you want to call it that, is a step like a soft lockdown. And the reason we call it a soft lockdown is if we were to have an actual situation come up that we believed really posed a threat to the safety of the school, we would just go into a lockdown, which means that every staff member locks their doors. Law enforcement, emergency responders are immediately called in, and nobody moves from the location that they're in. And that is so that schools can work right away to get complete control of the situation, as well as to monitor everything. A soft lockdown, really what that means is that we are not letting people from outside come in. At that point in time, visitors would not be allowed in the building. But our school day is going to continue to look somewhat normal. The kids are still going to be in the classrooms. In a soft lockdown, we work to restrict any movement in the halls so that way we can better monitor where everybody's at within the building. But we're not stopping our business of educating the kids. When a soft lockdown is announced, it does not mean that there is absolutely no risk of a threat. There, each and every day there could be a threat that we're not aware of as well. Mm-hmm. But it does mean that we have no reason to believe at that point in time that there is the potential or the likelihood of a serious threat. And so the last thing that we want to do is discontinue the educational process, as well as when you go into a full lockdown, that can cause panic and anxiety as well. And we want to make sure that we're keeping to a routine as much as possible and as much as the situation allows for.
Okay, well, thanks for explaining that, because some people don't know the difference. It's kind of complicated. Let's talk about the Iowa legislature, and of course, they've come up with a property tax idea, and it all filters down to city government and to school systems and how much money is allocated and yada yada yada. How is what the Iowa legislature has done? How has it affected the Newton Community School District?
Well, I think that one of the biggest components of that, or the biggest consequences of that, is yet to be determined with schools. And when I say that, it really began a little over a year and a half ago with the change in the income tax structure. Schools do have our revenues come in from a couple different streams. There's the property tax stream, and then there's also what a lot of schools collect through an income surtax. The income surtax was put in place to not have the full burden of school funding fall just on the property owners. Here, we have gotten money from the income surtax that the district has levied, and that's taken about $1.2 to $1.3 million off of the property tax rolls. And I'm not arguing for one side or the other, but when the income tax on retirement, for example, or retirement accounts was discontinued in Iowa, then that was less revenue that came in through the income surtax. Now with the flat rate income tax, that will take more money off of the revenue stream from the income surtax as well. Schools can't collect an infinite amount of money. There's an amount that's set by the state each year, and so one way or the other, that regular amount that we get, that per pupil funding, has to come into the school to be able to operate. So if less money is coming in from the income tax, then that does place some of that burden back onto the property taxes. And so, we see this largely as a kind of a combination of the different things that has an impact. Another thing that potentially poses a significant threat to schools is the reduction of the amount of money we get from the SAVE dollars, or that penny sales tax. For next year, we lose 12.5% off of the SAVE dollars, and that will go up until it gets to 25% reduced from that in 2030. That income surtax, I'm crossing over those on my own here.
That's okay. It's a complicated issue.
That penny sales tax, realistically, has always been a form of property tax relief. Now, that money that's taken off of the SAVE dollars that schools collect is being put into the state coffers for property tax relief fund. It was already accomplishing that for schools. And what I mean by that is, if you think about next year, as we go from 4 buildings a couple years back down to 2 at the elementary level, we had to do some significant construction on Aurora Heights and on Thomas Jefferson to be able to get from those 4 buildings down to 2. None of that money came from property taxes. The way a lot of schools do major projects is they have a general obligation bond. We didn't do that because we were able to use the penny sales tax for it. Once we get to the point where we lose 25% of that penny sales tax, schools like Newton and a number of schools across the state of Iowa that rely on that penny sales tax are then going to have to rely on property taxes to be able to do those types of projects.
I see.
So that's a big hit for schools.
Okay. Speaking of schools, Woodrow Wilson and Emerson Huff have now closed. I'm a little sad because Woodrow Wilson was my alma mater, and I guess it was Woodrow Wilson's 100th year this year, too, in closing, but it had to be done. What's going to happen to those buildings?
Well, we don't know yet. Right now, we are actually this week in the process of having the teachers box their items up, pack their items up, get ready for the move to TJ in Aurora Heights. But the school board has had discussions on that. We've not moved forward yet because we're waiting until we get completely moved out of those. It'd be nice to see them repurposed for something. You also do not want them to become a nuisance to the neighborhood they're in. I'd like to say that we've been good neighbors to the folks around there. We'd like to see those properties continue with that. And it's interesting, you mentioned that Woodrow Wilson was 100, but when I was looking the other day, I read, and I have not had this officially confirmed yet, but that Emerson Huff was 99.
Oh, is that right?
So it's going to miss its 100th year of being in use by 1 year. So they're both buildings that have definitely been used an awful lot over the years and have, in my opinion, have stood the test of time and a lot of traffic through them.
A lot of memories, there,
yes,
especially at Woodrow Wilson. And God rest your soul, Mrs. Helen Forbes, my fifth grade teacher. I will never forget her. Never forget her. And she was in ill health at Methodist Hospital in Des Moines. And I went up to visit her when she was not doing so well. And I said, Mrs. Forbes, I want you to know that I always loved you. And she said, I always loved you too, James, even when you were ornery. And she said, I hope you remember 8 times 8 fell on the floor, pick it up, it's 64. And she taught me the Great Lakes with the words Homes, Homes, Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior.
I'd never heard that one.
And I will never forget that. She was one of the best teachers I ever had. I had some great speech teachers and drama teacher too. Mr. Betts, Steve Mullen, and Frank Cruz were great teachers also, but Mrs. Forbes, my fifth grade Woodrow Wilson teacher, will always stand out in my mind. So I want to move along to talking about bullying, because that was another thing that made an impact on my life, and I don't want to go into it a lot, but back when I was a kid, you could call it flunked or held back in 4th grade. And my dad in his older years said, I made a mistake with you, holding you back. My kindergarten teacher knew that I was not good at math. Luckily, I got into an occupation where I didn't have to use a lot of math, just my mouth. And so it worked out well for me. But my dad had been a former speech, debate, and drama teacher, and I think he wanted me to have a really good education. And so my math teacher said, we'll work with Jamie the next year if you keep him back, and we will, see to it that he has a good mathematics education and whatnot. Well, that next year, she got pregnant, and another teacher came in and filled in, and she had no idea about me whatsoever, so there was no special treatment with me on math. And so I really never got any better at math at all, but I got bullied pretty bad. And I don't know how the schools are now, but it was so bad, Tom, that and back then, for example, in the morning, you would have homeroom, and then in the afternoon, you would go to math, library, science, and that kind of thing with your class. The next year, in the 5th grade, I got moved to another class because it was not good. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it was just not a pleasant thing. So I know that the school board and you and the others all took up the bullying issue, and it's been a big thing for me, and it sounds like a complicated issue that you took up. And when you throw out bullying, you could use a lot of different examples, and it's hard to figure out just exactly what bullying is.
Yes, and I think that's the biggest thing, and it's also a very difficult topic to speak with parents about, because there's a difference between bullying behaviors and some other behaviors that we would all agree are just inappropriate behaviors that have no place in school.
Right. And there's a physical kind of bullying, and there's a psychological and verbal kind of bullying too.
Yes, and by definition, in the Department of Education, both at the state and federal levels, have defined bullying as the repeated words or actions that target someone with the purpose of gaining some kind of power or control over them. We have worked really hard to put a concrete system in place, and we went over this at the last school board meeting as well. And our system is really focused on making sure that we're getting bullying incidents reported. For a couple reasons. Number one, if someone comes forward and says this has been going on for 3 months now and it's not been put to a stop, well, there's a good chance that we could have put things to a stop in the beginning, but we got to know about it. And it's never okay for somebody to be treated poorly, and I think everybody here at the school district agrees with that. One of the statistics that I gave the board, and I believe that I'm correct on this, I might be 1 or 2 off, but we were just under 40 incidents of bullying incidents reported this year. Now, that doesn't mean that they were all founded as a bullying, as being bullying, but they were incidents that were reported to the school. And what happens is they'll either call in or they go online, fill out the online form. If they call in, Kelly Sorensen here in our office is great about leading them in the direction of where that form is. Sometimes she's helped people fill it out.
Yeah, she documents those well, doesn't she?
Yes. And not only does she document, but the reason that we want those documented is because once she fills out that form, or once she collects the form from a parent, she keeps a spreadsheet. And she follows up with the school to make sure that those situations get addressed and dealt with. Of the close to 40 incidents that we had this year, I believe it was only 2 of them resurfaced. The other incidents did not pop back up again once the school got involved and dealt with it. I don't believe that you're ever going to do away with 100% of all of those types of bullying behaviors. The goal is, if it does come up, how can we make sure it doesn't happen again? And so I feel like we've had some success with that. And large part of that is because of the way that it's been investigated, dealt with. We also come up with plans with the kids of, okay, how can we avoid this situation? The hardest part of that conversation is that with the bullying investigation, it either comes back as, is it founded as bullying or is it not founded as bullying? And the reason I say that's hard is because if we're out at recess playing kickball and I get mad because my team loses and you're on the winning team and I walk over and shove you to the ground, we would both agree that that's inappropriate. But that could be a one-time only situation. Maybe it's not so much that I'm out to get you, Jamie, as it is I'm just mad that we lost the game. So while it's not bullying, it's still completely inappropriate. It's still something that gets dealt with consequences. And a lot of times those consequences are the same as if it was a bullying situation. But we do have to report to the state how many incidents of bullying there are as well. So we do have to clarify, is it bullying or is it not bullying? And again, I want to reemphasize that even if it's not bullying, it doesn't mean that it wasn't wrong and it wasn't dealt with.
So it's a fine line, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't hold kids back anymore, right? I understand that. In fact, I think you brought some principals to a Rotary Club meeting or something. They said it's been found that just does not work.
There have been times where, I mean, the board policy still does allow for that. It does not happen very often. Right off the top of my head, I don't know of any time that it's happened since I've been here. But the fact that there's a board policy there that does allow for it would indicate that it's still an option that could occur.
It sounds like you go to extreme measures to prevent that from happening, though, Tom.
Yes, absolutely. There are multiple interventions that that kick in before it ever got to that point. For example, we do have at the elementary level. Not only do we have the classroom setting where kids learn how to read and write, but we also have reading core. We've got Title I reading. We've got special education to give reading supports. So we've got a number of other things that are in place that weren't there when I was a kid. So I feel like the system is really set up a lot more now so that kids don't fail.
I want to ask too, Tom, about the lunch deficit problem. Of course, I did a podcast about that. $20,000 is pretty extreme. And is that school system wide, or is that just at Emerson Huff?
That is school system wide.
Okay. Has there been a dent made in that? I know there was a fundraiser with that, and
I believe that and I've not got the final year-end numbers, but I believe it was going to end up around 23,000.
Wow.
And again, that's for the whole year for all of the buildings. One of my concerns next year is this year, Emerson Huff did get free lunches for everybody because there was a high enough free and reduced lunch rate at that building that it qualified for that. Next year, we do not have either one of our elementaries that have a high enough rate. So next year, it's going to be more important than ever that parents get those free and reduced lunch applications filled out and turned in. Yeah. If you don't fill that out and turn it in, you're not free and reduced lunch. And so we have to this year make a lot stronger concerted effort on behalf of the school to get parents to fill those out.
So will you just have to eat the cost of that $23,000?
Well, there's different things that schools can do. We do communicate out through our communication app, Parent Square. We have also had phone calls made. And sometimes it does boil down to not only here, but in a lot of schools, going to small claims court for that when it gets to a certain level and we don't get any payments. We do work very, very hard to make payment plans with parents. We realize that sometimes those deficits are large enough that folks can't just come in and pay the whole amount off. As long as people are really working to try to pay that down, we'll work with people.
Okay. Well, let's close on what we hope will be a little happier note. I know that you do color from time to time with my buddy Randy Van in Newton Cardinal Sports. What do you see for the upcoming Newton Cardinal football team and Coach Swede this year, Tom?
There's no doubt we lost some tremendous athletes from last year. But it's exciting too. We've got a pretty good, I was going to say junior class, but our school's over now for the year, so right. There'll be seniors. Some pretty good athletes in that group. And you know what? It's really hard. I think that anybody would be hard pressed to say it's going to be a bad year when you've got a coach like Coach Swede at the helm of a team. Yeah. All-around great guy, great character. And he's not alone. We've got a lot of people that do a great job with our kids, and we're excited about it.
Hey, how is the search going for the new middle school principal?
Last board meeting, we did name the new principal. It's one of the assistants from over there. Okay. And actually, just today, they were doing interviews for assistant principal position over there.
And who's the new principal?
Jennifer Hooks.
Okay. All right.
So there'll be 2 out of the 3 will be new in that building next year. One of the other assistants, Jen Wiebel, is actually going to become one of the elementary assistant principals.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Tom. I appreciate it. You're always very open and honest with us, and you always, whenever I call up and make an appointment with you, you're willing to take whatever time is necessary to answer any questions that we might have.
Well, the Newton School District and the community of Newton are very easy to talk about.
You bet. You bet. I know that you have a passion for education, and you have an open door policy. If anybody has a question about the school system or wants to contact you, how can they do that, Tom?
They can either stop in here at the central office, what a lot of people still refer to as the old Hy-Vee building,
betcha.
Or they can email or call, and we're here all summer. We can get an appointment set up and meet in person or talk on the phone, however they want to talk.
Okay. Newton School Superintendent Tom Messenger on Out and About with Jamie Grout. Other fine sponsors include the Red Pride Cafe. Stop on in there. I'm addicted to their spaghetti, but they have a wide variety of different meals on their menu. Stop on in there for breakfast, lunch, or dinner at the Red Pride Cafe. The Westside Java Coffee Bar. Head on in there for your mocha lattes, your hot chocolate, your cookies, whatever. And, of course, they have that convenient drive-thru in their alley. Also, the Made Right Sandwich Shop in Newton. They have breakfast 7 days a week there also. Stop on in at Made Right Sandwich Shop. Also, Lynette Baker, Halo Branded Solutions. If you have a business that you want to publicize, get a hold of Lynette, Halo Branded Solutions. You can find her business card in the sponsor section of the website Out and About with Jamie Grout. And also Jersey Freeze in Monroe. If you live outside of Monroe, hey, it's a short drive to Jersey Freeze in Monroe. Try the Van and Bon Bon Freezer or one of their other ice cream tasty treats at Jersey Freeze in Monroe. Until next time, Grout is out. See ya.